Having World War I as an inspiration for a new creation has been a big undertaking and also a very big responsibility. It's also something very poignant that none of our generation really understand. We have so many relics or photographs and everything to look at, but to actually know how everyone felt, it's unimaginable. So it was taking these tiny relics or fragments and trying to piece together some sort of nuance about what it might have felt like to be in that time. So one of the things that I wanted to focus on was the idea of separation and how women especially took over the men's roles in the factories and really upheld the country while the men were away. And there were the wonderful little fragments of details that we picked up on when the women were in the factories packing TNT into the explosives that would get sent off to war. They used to basically poison their hands and they became yellow with all the sulfur, and they used to be called the Canary Girls. So it's finding these kind of very tiny pieces of information and just using them as relics to try and conjure some sort of idea. It's funny, when I get in the studio, usually the first thing that I start off with is the pas de deux work or duet stuff, considering that the piece is about the separation of men and women when men went off to war and women were waiting behind, filling their jobs as such in factories with ammunition, with stuff that will be sent to the men having not seen them. It was finding a way to somehow generate pas de deux work with them seeming to be apart and in different countries on kind of almost different sides of the world. I've selected 4 pieces of Franz Liszt's Harmonies Poétiques for my music, which are being orchestrated by Gavin Sutherland. I wanted something that was very beautiful. I think in times of desperation, in times of intense trauma, the idea of beauty or holding on to something that is very personal is what got people through these hard times. Liszt music is some of the most romantic around, so to actually juxtapose this with the idea of war was kind of quite interesting for me. Titles are always very difficult to come up with. They set such a great expectation. It's the first thing an audience really sees when they come in. No man's land is a very common war term for that bit in the middle where no one really goes, and if you do go, it's highly likely that you won't come back. It's also that time when there was really no men in the country, so it was just the women left, a land without men as such, just coping by themselves and waiting for these people to come back. And that's another idea that I wanted to play off, this idea that there was so much waiting and walking during the war as opposed to combat and fighting and doing. It was that sense of waiting in no man's land and not knowing where you're going to end up that next day.